So there's a lot to sort through here. Let's break it down with Bernadette Hogan from the New York Post and Daryl Camp, our own reporter. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks.
So I think it's safe to say this week was very busy, very complicated. A lot of things happened. I think a little bit too much. I'm very tired. Bern, what stood out to you in the AG's report? It's 170, 80 pages. There was a lot to go through, but what were the insights that you had there?
Well, first of all, we had no idea this was coming on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because Monday night, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal reported that the report was in its final stages and would likely come out within the next several weeks, meaning the end of August.
Right.
And that was Monday night. Tuesday morning, a press release comes out at 7:30, and it says the Attorney General will make a very important announcement with no other details.
And you and I were texting before the announcement, and I was like, no, it's not the report. There's no way it's
I thought it was going to be another violence thing where it's like, oh, we've cracked down on guns or something
or
again.
a lawsuit, you know, like any of the other things that AG James does.
Right, a multitude of options. However, I was texting sources in the Attorney General's office and others around the office saying, hey, what's this about? Do I need to worry about this? Meaning, is this the big report that we've been waiting on for nearly 6 months? And no one was getting back to me, which is very odd, and that's a telltale sign. So I was already actually driving down to New York City for another story because I'm Irish and somehow very lucky that way.
I know, that's great.
Right, and so it's 8 in the morning, I'm at the top, I'm in the top of like the Bronx, and there's traffic, and I can either go to my exit or I can keep going straight into Midtown. And I text my boss and I say, you know what, I'm going to go to this press conference at 11 because I just have a bizarre feeling. So the Attorney General ends up having this press conference at 11 a.m. I got confirmation just before that this was going to be the big report that we were all looking at. And she comes out with June Kim and Ann Clark, the 2 independent investigators that she tapped, and she says that the governor has been, that the allegations of 11 women, current and former staffers, of sexual harassment against the governor have been deemed credible. And she said, I believe these women. And after that, it was the 2 investigators going, not line by line, but section by section.
Very detailed.
Very detailed, describing toxic work environment, specific details. One of the most shocking revelations was the state trooper.
That got me too.
Because that was something that we did not know this individual was a victim. And this is somebody that was assigned to protect the governor, working on his detail. And there's graphic details about how he was touching her in her stomach, and also other troopers corroborated
That was the big thing. She
Exactly.
had people that saw these events, and those people testified to the AG's attorneys and said, yes, this did happen. And I think that's the clearest evidence that we have for it, because the other women do have evidence, obviously, but this was a state official, well, not an official, but a state employee, and then other state employees backing her up.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it indicates a systemic issue, though. The thing that really jarred me about the state trooper, which also got me as well as far as the big takeaway, is the fact that this person was not qualified to serve on the governor's detail and was specifically reassigned seemingly at the request of the governor. And there's plausible deniability about whether or not it was, oh, we need more diversity on my detail, or if it was self-serving as far as his lustful interests, allegedly. So the fact that people are sort of in on it and they're aware of what's happening and by proxy supporting this activity means that this is not specifically an Andrew Cuomo problem. This he's a symptom of a larger issue, which is fear in the workplace generally as it relates to state government. And we have a reputation in New York as being corrupt for a reason.
Yeah, I think the sexual harassment piece of it, yes, the governor is accused of sexual harassment, but it's not a surprise that that's happening in Albany. Certainly, over the past decade, we've just seen several cases of that happening, and you know, Vito Lopez is what people always go to. Going forward, the governor has not said clearly that he will not resign, but we do know that he is now cooperating with the Assembly's impeachment probe, meaning he will most likely not resign this week or next week. It is Friday morning, so if he resigns this afternoon, I apologize. Bern, what do you think is going to happen? How is this going to play out?
Right. Well, the Assembly has now given him a week to produce evidence. See, they sent a letter to the governor's council saying you have until August 13th, next Friday, to produce additional documents in relation to our impeachment inquiry. And then after that, we're going to make a determination, et cetera. But they said they're nearing completion of their probe. And that's a pretty big deal, partially because everybody was there was a lot of criticism of the Assembly's process. It's very broad. It doesn't just stick to these sexual harassment allegations. It also goes to the nursing home scandal with the data that reporters, individuals have been asking for months and months. And now that's also subject of an ongoing Eastern District of New York investigation.
Right, people get confused about this because the DOJ, the US DOJ, said that they dropped the nursing home probe. Not that they dropped it, but they never pursued it as a civil rights action.
Right.
But we still have that criminal investigation in the Eastern District down in Brooklyn. And I just want to make that clear because people often think, well, now he's not being investigated by the federal government at all.
Exactly. And something that's also key is that with these federal investigators, not a lot of information comes out. And we really only knew something about the status back in May. I was making calls as I normally do, and I talked to some state lawmakers who were interviewed by the FBI and several other individuals involved in this probe, and they said, well, I was asked about the nursing homes and also the relationship between the governor and his staffers, and then also the book deal. So that's another part of it. And that's something that Attorney General Letitia James said that is still ongoing and also separate and apart. This investigation into whether or not the governor misused state resources to produce his $5.1 million book, pandemic-era memoir, American Crisis. So again, next couple weeks, I guess we will see whether or not the legislature proceeds forward, and that starts in the Assembly, and then it will go to the Senate, a trial in the Senate, and then after that, it's a lot of time also for the governor to think.
Time. And this would be the first impeachment in over a century, back to when we had William Sulzer. You mentioned the legislature. Daryl, how are state lawmakers reacting to this report? We had a lot of them calling the governor to resign back in March when all of this was getting started. What are they saying now?
Well, I would like to draw a correlation. The first time I was on this show in studio before I worked here in January between the AG's first report about the nursing homes and this one. We see a pattern of gaslighting from the administration that is frustrating to lawmakers and to reporters because I mentioned you on that last show in January because you were asking repeatedly about the nursing home thing, and hate it or love it, the underdog is on top now because you're vindicated what you were trying to get at. The AG has now fortified as, okay, there's something to this. Same drill here, and everyone is seeing it now. So they're frustrated, and they need to move forward.
Do you think there's any universe, Daryl, where the governor does not resign, is somehow not impeached, and then runs for a fourth term?
There is a universe. Unfortunately, we saw that universe a little bit last month, I think it was, with the Diana Richardson bit. She called for him to step down, but also defended him, which was bizarre. There's a weird, Stockholm Syndrome kind of bit there. Zelnor Myrie, same drill. He wasn't quite as forceful as far as defending the governor, but if you have someone who is radioactive, frankly, and people are not afraid to be seen with them, it's like, okay, what can we actually do to take this guy out?
I could not imagine how lawmakers feel now, the ones that seem to get a little bit closer to the governor. For a few months now, he certainly made inroads with members of the legislature that may have allowed him to avoid impeachment, but obviously after the report, it does not look like that's an option. So we'll leave it there. Bernadette Hogan from the New York Post, our own Daryl Camp, thank you both so much.